Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I am your host, Julia Renee.
I'm Gabriella Fortune.
And I'm Kendall Grayboff.
Ooh, and today, guys, we are going to be talking about manifestation. Wow, that was not even planned, but that was great.
The harmonization in that? Kendall, let's start a boy band.
Let's start a band.
A boy band.
A boy band, a man band.
Today, we are going to be talking about the manifestation formula and how to get anything you want in life. This has worked literally for me for the past 5 years, and I've been doing this same formula for such a long time, and I can tell you that every single thing that I have put on my manifestation board has come true.
I want it, I got it.
I want it, I got it. And we're going to basically talk about how we use this in our own personal lives and like the actual steps on how you can do this with yourself. So if you are in the car, if you are on the Stairmaster, make sure that you come back and you take some notes or take some notes on your phone, because this is going to be a note-taking podcast.
We're getting educational today.
Edumacation. So we're going to start out with the first step of what you need to do, and that is write out exactly what it is that you want. And I mean, be detailed. So I just want to give you an example of what not to do. So if your goal is to get a new car, when you are writing in your manifestation journal, I just call it a manifestation journal, but it could just be a regular ass journal. Don't write, I want a new car, period. I want you to write out in detail what it is you want. I want a 2022 white Jeep Wrangler by this date. And the more detailed that you can be about it, the better off you're going to be. Trust me.
I have something to add to that. I actually write my manifestations a little bit different. So I still think wrong would be I want a new Jeep Wrangler. Mm-hmm. I think right would be I want a 2020 by this date, whatever. Mm-hmm. I write it as though it's already mine. That helps me. So instead of writing I want, I'll say I own a 2022 Jeep Wrangler in February of 2022 or whatever it is. I just like to say it as though it's already mine. I already own it, because then you're not visualizing it as something you're reaching towards. You're visualizing of like me in that Jeep already.
Yeah, it's like something that you don't have or not going to get versus something that you're like, I know this is going to be mine.
Yeah.
It's just in due time.
It's the confidence.
It's going to be mine.
Yeah.
I love that. I've actually started switching the words a lot in my journal from I'm going to, I will, to like it is. It's mine. I have it. It is within me. Like I am Miss Wellness Olympia 2022, because what this does is whatever the year is going to be.
Same diff.
That's a little bit harder to determine, but whatever it is, how specific you can be, please be as specific as you can be. And whatever this is if it's like a financial goal, if it's a personal goal, if it's a physical goal, a relationship goal, whatever you want to be, please be as specific as you can be and write them down as often as you can. I would like to say every day, every single morning I do it in my journal, and my journal literally looks like a crazy person is in it, because every day is like the same.
Yeah.
Because I have like different, the same goals that I want in this period all written out, like boom, boom. Every single page is the same thing over and over. And it's the pen to paper. And I really want to stress like the pen to paper and how important it is, because like it loses its, I guess, like sparkle when you're texting it on your phone, because you do that every single day. You do it on social media, you're texting your friend, you're texting your family. But when you are taking time and sitting down with yourself in your journal to write it down and actually write these words, like you can really start to embody the thing that you want, or the goal that you want to achieve, or the relationship that you want to have by writing it down. It's so, so powerful. I know there's a ton of studies on writing it down versus texting it down. I just don't know them, but definitely look them up.
I still think even if texting it down is all you can do, just having it, putting it out there every single morning or every single night is going to keep it on the forefront of your brain. So just writing it down once and being like, this is my goal board. It's not as, I guess, like powerful as manifesting every single day is, because it's not going to be on the front of your brain every day. When you're sitting there and actually writing down like 2022 Miss Olympia, Julia Renee, like then every single day, that is kind of what you're I mean, I hate to use the word manifesting over and over, but you're manifesting that even for today. Like today, I'm getting one step closer, you know?
Before we dive too deep into this subject, I would just like to say I literally had no idea what the hell manifestation was until I met you two.
Really?
So like this whole podcast, I feel like you guys are teaching me this because I didn't really do any of that stuff, kind of because I felt I had a lot of self-doubt. And I still kind of am like this, unfortunately. I feel like I just kind of go through life without goals, and I just like kind of do my own thing and like don't really have a direction. But seeing you two and how driven both of you two are, I know it's because you guys do this. So I started to do the whole writing things down in my journal. Why did I almost call it a diary? Oh my God.
I mean, it kind of it's like an adult diary.
Until I started like writing things down in my diary, like that stuff really changed my outlook on life because I was like, wow, every day, like I'm remembering my goal specifically and I'm doing something every day to reach that goal. Yes. So I feel like this episode, really, you guys are teaching me and like talking about it with
Ask
me.
all the questions.
No, I will. Definitely I will.
You can be like the viewpoint of the audience.
Yeah, because if this is something that you're listening to right now and you're like, this is some woo-woo shit.
It's not.
Trust me, like I thought the same thing.
I did too.
But once I really started seeing these things come to life, it was almost unbelievable that, okay, I could write something down and we'll go into the other steps. You know, it's not going to, you can't just write something down.
I think once they hear all the steps, they'll be like, oh, okay, this makes more sense than just writing it down and being like, now it's going to come true.
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
Where are my magical leprechauns going to bring this wish to me? And you know, the same thing for me is when I bring up into religion, the phrase that I like to say, it's honestly, it's like from a movie. It's like whenever you pray to God, and I'm like to like kind of relate these things for patience, you're kind of almost waiting for patience to drop into your lap. But what's going to happen is God's going to put situations in your life for you to practice patience. He's going to put you in the long line at the grocery store. He's going to have your kid scream for 5 hours so that you really need to practice patience. And once you can realize like, oh, this is the opportunity for growth that I'm getting, your growth is going to seriously skyrocket. And it's really cool that we have Gabby on here too, is just newly starting into this, because it can put it back into the viewer's perspective of like, how do I actually do this? Does it actually work? What's the purpose of it?
Yeah.
Because like you said, every day these goals are going to be in the forefront of your mind. Once you start your day, instead of starting just like, oh, like, what am I doing? Without intention, without purpose, without drive, without any direction, you actually have all of these goals at the forefront of your mind. I know that what I'm doing today is getting me to this goal that I have.
Yeah.
The work that I'm doing today is going to get me that new Jeep. The work that I'm doing today is going to get me closer to my partner.
Yeah.
And without even knowing, I was doing that. Like I was
Exactly.
just like but before I was kind of just going through the motions, and I feel like maybe that's why I'm so independent now, is because I've self-assessed now on what I really want in life. And now I can be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is when I'm going to get it done.
I love that.
That's why
Yeah.
we manifest.
I don't think manifesting's for everyone, but I think if you really have something that, like, if you have a hard set goal of I want this, I do think it is like a super vital step that'll help you actually obtain it.
Yeah, and there's definitely different ways that you can go about doing this for your own personal. Like, for example, when I always have a set of at least, there's like 10 to 15 goals. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but there's always one that I am working on currently that's like a big one. So for example, this next coming season, what I do is the one big goal that I want is the one that's on my mirror every single morning. So I still have that sticky note. And even though the sticky note is going to be done, it's anyone who watched my Road to Olympia series, it's I am, you know, qualified for the Olympia, or I am Miss Wellness Olympia. And I put these in all these places where I like to call them like trigger areas, where you're either seeing your face in the mirror, put the sticky note there. It's at the forefront of your mind. You're at the computer and you're working. I've always put it at the very, very bottom. Or I do this even with food. I need to put it on my fridge again because it's at my old place. But I have one that was always on the fridge is food will always be there, because that's a place that's a trigger for me that if I'm feeling X, Y, and Z, I'll be triggered to binge. So I have it there. So I put them in areas. This is like a completely other topic of things, weird things that Julia does. But yeah. Do that.
I'm similar.
If you would like to.
I don't only write it down in a journal every day. I do have a whiteboard by my front door, so it's what I see every time I'm leaving my place, so that I feel like that's a good spot. Or I've also heard, I don't know if you guys know Bella Poarch.
Yeah.
She did a podcast talking about manifestation. She puts it on like the foot of her bed, so she wakes up, the first thing she sees every day.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, and one of hers was being TikTok famous, and now look at her, she's like millions and millions. But she has like a whiteboard thing at the end of her bed with like 3 main manifestations, and then like once you conquer one, you can erase it and add a new one. So I have 3 by my front door so that I see it every day when I'm like making my coffee and then going out.
Really awesome. I love this too, because you can see like different how each of us do things that are like a little bit different that work for us. And we know, okay, if I put it here, if I do it this way, this is how it's going to work for my brain. Everybody is different. So that kind of wraps up number 1, and that's be exact about what the goals you want, however it is you want to write them down. If it is a journal, and I'm going to just do a shameless plug, but I have a guided journal. It's called the Know Your Power Journal. And if this is something that's hard for you to do on your own and just like write it in your journal, it's literally a guided journal. It goes over gratitude. It goes over goal setting, physical and mental. And there's spaces for you to manifest and things like that. So I'll have that link down in the description and in the show notes for you.
It's also very cute and aesthetic.
Yes, it's orange, of course. Know Your Power. So now we're going to move into number 2. And this one was literally a game changer for me. So now we've already have our goals written out and we know what it is that we want in exact form, I'd like to call it. So now I want you to visualize with gratitude as if it's already yours. So Kendall was talking about this briefly at the beginning, where she was switching it to the I will, I'm going to the I am statements, and adding this extra bit. I'll tell you a story about it in a little bit later, but it's literally mind-blowing. And when I tell people this, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know that. But when you have the goal in the forefront of your mind, visualizing with gratitude, what it basically looks like is, for example, if we're going to use the 2022 Jeep Wrangler white, whatever, I already have it written down in my journal for the morning. And now when I sit and either do like my meditation, I usually do this during cardio because I'm kind of like a multitasker. I'll literally like visualize myself. What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? All of these, like, I guess, sounds or whatever. What are they called?
Senses.
Senses. I don't know. It's just school. But yeah, I'll literally do that. I'll be on the Stairmaster and I'm like visualizing myself driving in the Jeep with the windows down. It's white. It smells brand new. You know, I can see my like hand on the steering wheel. I make it so clear. And what happens in your brain is your brain doesn't know the difference between stuff that you're imagining and stuff that happens in real life. Like it is literally wild. The same thing happens in your brain. The same wires are getting crossed. So that's why when we're talking about being super specific about it and bringing it to the forefront of your mind, literally when it happens, it's if you've already lived it.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
The brain is so powerful in that sense. Yeah. I was going to add too, like that's when I usually get emotional. So like one of my goals was and is turning pro for wellness. So I would always write IFBB Wellness Pro Kendall Graboff. And during my cardio session, similar, I would close my eyes and I would literally like start crying.
Same. I cried so much.
I would picture what it would feel like to be standing there, have second place called out, and I'm the only one left. And like, I'm getting chills right now, just like that sensation. So when I was doing cardio, I would close my eyes and I would visualize what it would feel like to be second, or nope, hold on. Can we reset? Where did I leave off?
That you were
I think I got through that though.
Yeah, but restarting it would help Ian for editing.
Okay. Sorry, Ian. Okay. When I'm doing cardio, I would literally visualize what it would feel like to be the last girl on stage before getting called out, where second place was just called, and then you know that you're a pro before they even announce it. You know your first place, and like that feeling even today, even when I'm not in prep, not working towards that directly right now, it still gives me chills because like that feeling is just like the feeling that I chase. And I feel like that's a huge component around like visualizing is like have intent and emotion behind it. Because if you don't have any emotion or like reason why you're working towards these goals, it's less likely to come true. I think when you're so emotionally tied and you can feel like a visceral reaction to what that would feel like obtaining, I feel like it's far more powerful and like far more engraved in your brain and like in your heart. So.
Oh yeah. The emotional aspect of it is just so important. So like what you feel, what you hear, what you see, you know, even like what you taste and what you smell, like these things like get really granular on what it is that your goal is. And I'll even kind of go into the story about when I was becoming a pro, and every single morning in my journal, I would start with the first step of manifestation. I would write down, I am, you know, I am an IFBB wellness pro at this show, this date, blah, 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 blah. And I wrote it down every morning. And then every morning on the Stairmaster, I would do, because that's where I was doing the work to get to that goal, which is what we'll talk about next. And that's where it was really hard. And I needed that visualization to get me through the cardio most of the days. And I would visualize myself walking across the stage, you know, being the last one to be called. And you already know that it's your time. And I would visualize how confident I was. My posing was on point, how my hair and my makeup looked the stage. I would visualize it from both ends. I would even visualize it from the crowd looking at me and then me looking at the crowd. And one thing that I know some other competitors do is they'll look and find what the stage that they're competing on looks like so they can make their visualizations even clearer. And that's something that I added to after I got my pro card to my Road to Olympia series. But I even I even heard the exact announcer's voice. I wish I can remember his name. I know his face, but he has the perfect voice, and it was I would hear every single morning on cardio, and your new IFBB pro, Julia Renee, and it was his voice exactly. So when I went to my first national show and I got fifth, and you don't get fifth, if you get fifth, you don't get a pro card. And what's wild is the announcer that was at that show giving out the awards, he wasn't there. So when I went to my next show and I got my pro card, he was there. His exact voice that I heard every single morning. Crazy. And he said it, and your new IFBB pro, Julia Renee. And that's why I keep it in my YouTube intro for my personal YouTube channel. And in the intro, it's your new IFBB pro, and I'll keep it forever, you know, as long as I do bodybuilding, because of that manifestation that came into reality with all the hard work.
Yeah, that's so impactful.
Yeah. First of all, I will say that literally between those two stories, I just got chills like maybe 10 times. I think it was really hard for me to find people to get along with 2 years ago, a year ago, because I knew, or I didn't see that same fire that I had in other people. But I know for a fact that you two have that same drive and ambition as I do. And I know that's why we get along so well. And like you guys are saying, like, you're manifesting and visualizing all this stuff, and me not being a competitor, but I feel like I do that same thing and like not even realizing that I'm
so many people
doing
do,
that.
yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're like in the car, like this will happen when you're in the car a lot. It'll also happen whenever you're in the shower and you're doing something that's kind of like mundane, and you have a lot of time to focus like on yourself and your thoughts. My brother, when I was little, he would always say, I have the best thoughts when I'm on the toilet. He would call them his toilet thoughts. And it's because you're just like doing something that's regular. But what happens in those moments is your brain can daydream. I daydream all day.
Oh yeah, me too.
All the time. So you might not even realize it, but you're already doing it. So why not put some intention behind it? And the really big key word about this is intention. Put the intention behind the things that you want. And I'm telling you, your life is going to change drastically in a very short amount of time.
I have two more things I want to add to like the visualization side of things. One of which I'm genuinely visual. So like I would watch other people's YouTube videos of their names being announced, and then it's easier for me to put myself in their shoes of like, what would that feel like? Because you see their emotion, you see how the crowd reacts, you see how their family and friends react, but like then put yourself in their shoes. I feel like that's like an easy way to visualize if you have a hard time doing that. I think another thing too, the second thing I was going to add to that is the people around you play a huge role. Like you were saying, like finding like-minded people. A lot of people don't understand manifestation, goal setting. They're just not, they weren't raised that way, or they might not like have that in their brain right now. They may be just complacent, and that's okay. What I was going to say is like,
that's me.
Maybe you're not.
No, it really is. Like you guys like talk about how you are visualizing your goals. I feel like I was going through life very complacent, whatever. I mean, I was doing things, but I didn't have any set goal.
No,
and
like
I think,
clear cut.
Yes, I didn't.
To me, that's like letting life happen to you instead of being the curator of your experience.
Yes.
And I did that for such a long time. I did. And the thing is when you're doing that, you don't actually realize it's happening because you get in this almost rat race of, you know, just doing what you need to do to survive. It's like that bare minimum rat race that you get into.
Yes.
And sometimes you're not challenged enough to actually know that there's anything wrong with that. Like when I was working at the salon, I was just running like a rat race and like just barely making it. And I thought that was good for me. I was like, that's just, you know, it's good enough. And I was like, but I can be and have so much more and be a lot happier. And once I was intentional about who I surrounded myself with, my goals, my intention with life, you know, my purpose, then things started changing drastically.
Yeah. Until recently, I feel like I was very codependent. So I just didn't have goals for myself. Yes, in the gym I did. I would say in the gym, that's the only place I had goals. But as far as like regular day-to-day life, I was comfortable. And now that I'm like with you guys and I see how you guys are going about life and your ideas of life and how it should be and goals, like I'm like, oh my God, like I want to do this too. I want to push myself. I need to write down my goals and what I want for my life, because you two are just so inspiring in that way. And
Thank you.
It's just crazy.
I'm super inspired by both of you. And like where I was going with that is like, I had an ex-boyfriend who I would tell him I'm going to own a business. I'm going to be an IFBB pro. I would tell him all these things and he would call me a dreamer in a negative connotation. He would basically just say like, he would like laugh it off and be like, okay, let's be realistic. And it's like, you don't realize until you're around other people who believe in you as much as you believe in yourself that those things are realistic. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Really?
Like write down the most wildest dream. And as long as you're working towards it, you're going to get it or get close. So like, don't let anyone around you in your circle, in your family, in your friends,
In your relationships.
yeah, like don't let them control you or your goals or how you see your life going.
Yeah.
So don't tell those people about your dreams sometimes because they're going to tear them apart, and then just exile them from your life.
I think
Right.
right now, like talking about this is so crazy too, because we're all really, all three of us have been going through like very
Drastic
large
changes.
life changes.
Yeah.
And ever since we made those jumps, like our lives have seriously been like, sorry, like
She's
crazy.
crying.
They've just been crazy, honestly.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I feel like we're all in really happy places now, and I feel like
Just kidding.
I feel like this friendship has a lot to do with that, because like a lot of people, sadly, and I was this way literally until like I met you guys, is like you don't have friends that reinforce like, hey, you can do what you want. So like I hope we can be that voice for the people who don't have someone in their corner that's like,
Yes.
you're so powerful, you can do
Yes.
it, whatever it is that you want to achieve, like you got it. And like believe in yourself, and then other people will start to follow. Just kind of fake it till you make it sometimes.
Exactly. You know, there's going to be people in life that are for you, and there's going to be people in your life that are not for you. And you know, what's crazy is most of the time, the people that are not for you and your dreams and your goals and your aspirations are the people that are closest to you. Like we're talking like your parents, your brothers, your sisters, it might be your significant other. I get a lot of people reaching out to me who have goals of becoming a bodybuilder and being on stage, or having, you know, X, Y, and Z, and their significant other is tearing them down. And it really does affect you if you haven't built up that mental fortitude yet. And it can derail you for a very long time from reaching whatever it is that you want to. And look, there's sometimes where you can't cut out family. You can't cut out brothers and sisters. You can't cut out you can cut out, you know, men, like snip, mofo.
Or
but
friends,
yeah,
even.
but what you need to do, and like my mom's probably listening to this right now, but once I came up to my mom and I said I was literally dating a guy that I was getting ready to marry, and my parents literally gave me the go ahead, and I said, hey, I am breaking up with so-and-so. I am quitting, and I'm very dramatic with like things that I do. It's like once I'm fed up, I'm done. And I'm breaking up with so-and-so. I'm leaving my salon job, and I'm going to become a bodybuilder and like a content creator. I told them all this in like one sitting, and like they it came from a place of love. They were scared for me. I'm their daughter. They were fearful because I was leaving a very safe environment. And the key word here is safe, comfortable. So who you surround yourself with is super important because, for example, like, you know, your friends and your family, they might not be for you. And, you know, my mom's probably listening to this, but when I first decided that, you know, hey, I wanted to quit the salon. I wanted to start bodybuilding, and I was going to break up with the boyfriend that they thought I was going to marry. And I told them this all in one day. They were like, they thought I was crazy. And I don't blame them. You know, they were just, it was coming from a place of worry and concern for their daughter and like my stability and security. But now literally like, my parents are my number one fans. Anything that I tell them that I want to do, they're like, go for it. Like I was like, Ma, Dad, I'm going to be in TV. I'm going to be in movies. I'm going to be cast as a superhero. And they're like, go for it. You got it. So it's super important, like who you surround yourself with for sure.
I think once you like prove that you're actually going to follow through, which is kind of step 3, people start to understand more like, oh, okay, she's not shooting too far. She knows she's capable of these things.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, you don't really need the approval of anybody else to do the things that you want to do in life, but it does help. Sometimes it does help, especially from your tight-knit circle, having people that are supportive and are like, yeah, like you got this. If you're going to be on a bodybuilding stage, people that know like you can't go out to eat, whatever you want is helpful, and you might need to distance yourself if they're hindering the progress that you're trying to make. So, like Kendall just said, it brings us into number 3. Go to effing work. None of this can happen if you don't do any intentional work towards your goal. So we have number 1 is writing down what it is you want in exact detail. Be specific. How do you feel? What do you see? What does it smell, taste, etc.? Number 2 is visualizing it with gratitude, feeling gratitude that it is already something that is yours. And number 3, you have to go to work. And you have to be intentional about the work that you're doing, because a lot of times I think that we do a lot of busy work around the topic of what it is that we want to achieve and think that that's getting us closer when it's really not. I do it a lot. I'm a very like busy bee with my worker. And then I'll realize like, oh, you know what? Doing this, and this is really not getting me closer to X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, okay, in a way, this is procrastinating. So
for sure. I do the same exact thing. I think that kind of goes into like what we said in the beginning is like, this isn't like some frou-frou magic spell. Like, you just writing it down is just putting it in your head, and then it stays in your head. And then the work you're doing should be towards that goal that you're visualizing so heavily. And similar to what you said is like, I do so many, like I'll start I have really bad ADHD. I'll start a million tasks and not accomplish a single one.
Yes.
It's a lot better to focus on one specific goal and work towards that and be like, what can I do specifically today to get me closer to that, and then implement that, instead of just being like, oh, my goal is to get this new job. I'm just going to apply to 1 million. Like, hone in on that one job you want, start practicing for the interview, start doing whatever classes you need to take, and go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My dad would always tell me, are you going to talk about it, or are you going to be about it? And I always tell myself that. Literally every single day, I'm like, am I going to say
Daddy Fortune with the stuff?
I always just remind myself that. Like, am I going to say I'm going to do all these things, or am I actually going to do it?
Yeah.
It's the hardest step. It's so easy to be like, I'm going to be famous, but what are you going to do to get famous? You know, that's like the work behind it is the hard part.
Oh my God. Yeah. And we're going to a little bit later, like after kind of what our individual goals are, if you guys want to. But the last thing that I want to say about this work aspect of it is I completely forgot. Literally, as I'm saying it, I'm like, dude.
That's okay. I feel like we definitely covered like
hard work.
At the end of the day, just fucking do the work. So many people are so lazy.
I remember.
Go for it.
I remember. Go for it. I just wanted to give you guys an example of like how I did this and how I achieved the goal that I wanted and what it looked like. So my main goal last year, I think it was last year, was to be an IFBB pro. So every single morning, wrote down exactly what I wanted, how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to look on stage, the confidence, everything down to the detail. And then I visualized it while I was on the Stairmaster with gratitude as if it was already mine. So when I achieved it, it felt so freaking good. And then, yes, I had to work, because I can do all of those things, but if my diet isn't on point, my cardio isn't on point, I'm not training, I'm not doing my posing, none of those things would happen. It's like, it's really difficult for you to miss out on some of these things. Hard work can only get you so far. If there's no intention, if there's no belief, you're going to be stuck at a certain point.
They go hand in hand. You can't do one without the other, or you're going to stay in the same place and go in one circle.
Exactly. So Kendall, what is let's just go over one, like what is your top goal that you have for yourself right now? And like, what are you doing to get to that daily?
Can we come back to me?
Okay.
I have to think about it.
Shoot.
I have 3 main, but they're all very specific, like number things. So I just like need a second to think about how I can say it.
Okay.
I would say my main goal right now would be to be fully independent as a mother and as the main supporter for my daughter.
Ooh,
I
good
love
one.
that.
So what are you doing to work to that every day?
There's a lot of things. I'm focusing on work. I'm focusing on training. I need to meet certain numbers, and I budget myself because I need to as a mother. Because I have certain bills and I have certain, her daycare, her school, she needs pull-ups, she needs clothes, she needs food. So I need to be able to budget all of that out and be responsible as a parent so I can provide those things for her. And that's just kind of what I've been focusing on, is just being able to give her everything that she needs as well as what she wants to.
Oh, I love that.
I love
I guess I can be more general. One of mine's an income goal, a number I've always wanted to hit. And that is like a yearly income goal I have, but I break it down every month of a certain number I try to hit every single month. And what I do from there is similar. I will set out a budget and think about how many things from my social media, because I do so many different avenues of work too. So I'm how many photography clients do I need this month? My actual clients, blah, 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 just making sure everyone's happy. My main goal is just I'm a very number oriented and financial oriented person. That motivates me to think about my dream life. I think about a certain level of what I deem as success for myself. And I never want to be similar, dependent on anyone else for money. I'm just a very numbers and financial goal oriented person, because when I visualize myself in the future, I want to be independently, financially responsible. I do want kids and a family one day, and I want to be able to provide for them without the help of anyone else. It would be great to obviously have a partner who also has their independent, whatever. I don't have to get into that. But anyway, I have financial goals for myself every single month. I write myself as though visualizing that in my bank account already, what I can do with that money, where it can go, how it will help me in my future. And that's something I work towards every day. That's why I am so, I guess, strict with myself when it comes to my business. And I will put business above even fitness when it needs to be, because that is a bigger goal for me, and a more so a longevity goal for me. So that one stays up there. The other 2 goals usually change. My financial goal usually stays the same.
That's cool.
What about you, Julia?
I guess I'm just going to go over my number 1 goal, and that's to qualify for the Olympia. So, what I'm doing every single day, how I'm staying on my diet, how I'm portraying myself on social media, because I want to be a role model for anybody that wants to go into bodybuilding. And I want to be that voice, because being an IFBB pro comes with a lot of responsibilities, I believe. And these are things that I've actually put on myself as well. And then also being an Olympian too, it's just a huge honor. And there's that respect that the sport deserves. And I feel like I want to be a voice for that. So,
which I think you already are.
No, you definitely already are.
You're so good at that.
Yeah, but I can be better. I can always be better.
Yeah,
so for me,
working.
qualifying for the Olympia, so what I'm doing to work towards that is I was still very strict with my training. For example, yesterday, Kendall was I kind of need to chill on my workout, so I can't really go hard. And I had to I was okay, work out with your friend, or I was put your priority of being Miss Olympia ahead. And I was I can't, I'm sorry. I have to go hard. So I put my head down and went to do my workout and PR'd on a couple of things. You got to prioritize that kind of stuff.
Which, as someone that sees you and your goals, I was go for it. I was I know I can't keep up today, so I'd rather not bring you down.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's for me, the work that I'm doing to get towards that is, for me, most of my work is always physical, because my goals tend to be a lot physical, but I do have the financial goals, and those always are on the back end for me. It's not really something that is always at the forefront of my mind, but it needs to be pushed up there, because yeah. So just talk.
I think everyone's different. I think everyone, because obviously when I'm in prep, IFBB Pro is the forefront of my brain. So I think it changes year to year, and I've just been very business oriented the last like 6 months.
Yeah. So. There's always like, I think there's seasons in our life, and there's push seasons and there's pull back seasons, because you can't be pushing all the time. And that's the same thing with like bodybuilding. Like right now, like during my prep, it's like a push to get the pro card, push to, you know, qualify for the Olympia. And then in my improvement season, I can pull back and really like detailed on my business, because for one, like my mental isn't really all there when I'm on prep to do that stuff, you know, with my business.
It's hard to do both.
There's just a balance.
It's good that you recognize that, though.
Big facts.
And you separate the two.
I love that. So guys, that's manifestation, how to get everything that you want. Number 1, going over it one last time. What is it that you want? Write it down. Be specific. Number 2, visualize it with gratitude as if it's already yours. Be super detailed with how you see things. And then number 3, go to freaking work, because it won't just fall into your lap.
We believe in you. Believe in yourself.
Yes, and we love you. And as always, you are more powerful than you think. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Know Your Power podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if you believe we deserve it, make sure to leave a review and rate the show. Love you. Bye.